Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has had a season that can best be described as a mixed bag, and not entirely in the way fans might hope. On one hand, he has managed to remain remarkably healthy despite the physical toll of professional football, showing resilience that has allowed him to start every single game this season. This consistency and availability marks a rare feat in his young career, as he has only achieved it once before. However, the bright side of staying on the field comes with its own set of complications, because the very caution that preserves his body sometimes leaves the Dolphins in tricky situations. Moments where the line between self-preservation and competitive aggression becomes almost impossible. Life in Tua's approach to staying healthy this season has been heavily influenced by the lessons of last year. His decision-making in physical encounters has shifted dramatically after suffering injuries, from diving headfirst into defenders, a move that in hindsight proved costly both to his body and to his ability to contribute consistently to the team. The emphasis now is on sliding feet first, getting down early to avoid unnecessary hits, and prioritizing longevity over a single heroic play. While this strategy has certainly kept him off the injury list, it has also created some frustrating moments where the Dolphins' offensive potential is limited by the quarterback's caution, a balance that has proven difficult to navigate in real time. A recent example of this dilemma unfolded in the game against the New Orleans Saints, a matchup that seemed to slip away from Miami in part due to one critical decision on a third down. With the Dolphins facing 3rd and 4 on the Saints' 45th-yard line, Tua stepped up in the pocket with the clear intent to push forward and pick up the first down. Yet, when he slid feet first, the officials marked the ball at the point where his slide began, not where his momentum carried him. That seemingly minor technicality left the Dolphins just a yard short, and on the very next play, the Saints' defense stifled them, forcing a turnover on downs or a failed conversion. It was a microcosm of the season's broader struggle, a moment where self-preservation intersected with competitive consequence, and Miami came up just short. Tua himself has been candid about these situations, acknowledging the split-second nature of the decisions and the need for ongoing adjustment. Speaking to reporters, he explained that he has discussed these plays with head coach Mike McDaniel and recognized the importance of making the right call not just for himself, but for the team. "Those are quick decisions that you have to make," Tua said. "We've talked about it, and I've got to make the right decision for the team and to keep us on the field. I gotta be better there." His words reflect both accountability and the nuanced reality of being a quarterback with a history of injuries, balancing instinctive aggression with a strategic understanding of personal limits. Critics might be quick to argue that Tua should have risked diving headfirst to secure the first down, and in a vacuum, that perspective holds some weight. But context is everything. The history of concussions and the cumulative damage from previous collisions cannot be ignored. And diving headfirst is far from a natural choice for someone who has endured multiple serious head injuries. The complexity of his decision-making is compounded by the speed of the game. Plays develop in fractions of a second, defenses react unpredictably, and quarterbacks are forced to process risk in real time while their bodies are under attack. In other words, Tua is constantly negotiating between the immediate needs of the team and the long-term preservation of his career. A balancing act few fans can truly appreciate from the stands or the television screen. Coach Mike McDaniel has weighed in on this exact issue, offering insight into the philosophy guiding Tua's choices in these high-pressure situations. According to McDaniel, every quarterback operates within a framework of relative risk and reward, where each decision is informed not only by the yardage required, but also by the potential consequences of taking a hit. For scrambling in general, there's a relative risk-reward, like throwing a contested ball, McDaniel said. The situation as the quarterback of the team has the ball in his hands, and you're trying to win the game. How important is that yard? And that is an imperfect thing that's very difficult to do, but you're trying to assess that. You take your chances when the chances are necessary to take. His comments underscore the reality that Tua is not shirking responsibility, but rather navigating an incredibly delicate calculus, where the difference between success and failure hinges on a single movement, a single decision, and sometimes a single misjudgment of momentum. The analogy McDaniel drew to John Elway's helicopter in the Super Bowl serves as a reminder of the dramatic extremes of quarterback play. But it also highlights how rare and difficult it is to execute such feats under pressure. No one realistically expects Tua to emulate a helicopter spin. But the point is that every inch matters in football. The yardage he leaves on the field by sliding instead of diving can change the narrative of a game, allowing opposing teams to stay in contention when they otherwise might have been eliminated. In the Saints game, for example, failing to convert on that third down extended a drive, gave New Orleans momentum, and contributed to a close finish in a contest Miami arguably should have closed decisively. While Tua is not solely to blame, the Dolphins also struggled on fourth and inches. His decisions remain a central factor in the operational limitations of the offense. Finding a true balance between self-preservation and on-field aggression is the holy grail for Tua and the Dolphins. Ideally, he would be able to risk just enough to extend plays and keep drives alive without jeopardizing his health, but the game rarely affords such perfect conditions. Defenders are fast, schemes are complex, and the margin for error is razor thin. Tua's mobility, while useful, is not extraordinary, and the knowledge that any impact could result in a serious injury inevitably influences his instincts. This creates a dynamic where coaches and teammates must constantly evaluate whether a play is worth the risk, and whether Tua's choices consciously or unconsciously might limit the team's ceiling. It is not a matter of effort or heart. Tua gives both in spades. Rather, it is the unavoidable tension between human fragility and the brutal, unforgiving nature of professional football. In addition to situational analysis, the broader implications of Tua's approach ripple throughout the Dolphins' game planning. Offensive coordinators must account for the quarterback's tendencies, sometimes designing plays that minimize exposure to hits while still trying to maximize yardage. This creates a subtle constraint on creativity, where high-risk, high-reward plays may be dialed back in favor of safer alternatives. Defenses can pick up on these patterns, and savvy opponents will probe the edges of Tua's risk tolerance, testing whether he will slide, escape, or attempt to muscle through a tackle. The psychological chess match is as significant as the physical one, and it adds an extra layer of complexity to every snap of the football. The reality, ultimately, is that Tua's style is a double-edged sword for Miami. His health is a victory in itself, and staying on the field every week provides stability in a league where injuries are rampant, and quarterbacks often miss multiple contests in a single season. Yet that very stability comes at the cost of limiting the raw, aggressive plays that could make the Dolphins' offense truly dynamic. Fans and analysts alike can debate what Tua should or should not do, but the truth is that any quarterback with a history like his is forced into a careful calculus of risk versus reward, and the margin for error is unforgiving. Tua's situation is a reminder that in modern football, talent alone does not dictate outcomes. Strategic decision-making, situational awareness, and self-preservation are just as critical, and sometimes they conflict in ways that frustrate fans while protecting the player. As the season progresses, the Dolphins will continue to navigate this delicate balance. Coach McDaniel and Tua are aligned in their goal of maximizing team success while minimizing personal risk. But the execution will always be a work in progress. Each game, each drive, and each critical third down will serve as a test of judgment, reflex, and resilience. The Saints game is merely one example, a snapshot of the challenges inherent in having a quarterback who is both highly skilled and highly protected. Miami's fans can hope for aggressive, highlight reel plays, but the reality is that every inch gained comes at a potential cost. And Tua's priority remains the long-term health that allows him to compete week after week. Ultimately, Tua Tagovailoa's season is a study in contrast. He is a quarterback who has managed to stay on the field, who is committed to winning, and who navigates a career-threatening injury history with caution and intelligence. At the same time, his protective instincts occasionally limit the Dolphins' offensive potential, leaving fans and analysts debating what might have been if he had chosen differently in a critical moment. The balance between health and heroics is delicate, and in the fast-moving, unforgiving world of professional football, it is a balance that defines not only Tua's career, but the fortunes of the Miami Dolphins themselves. Each game will continue to test that equilibrium, and while the outcome of any one play may frustrate viewers, it is also a testament to the strategic thinking required at the highest level of the sport. Tua's story this season is far from over, but it already serves as a powerful reminder that in football, sometimes protecting yourself is as much a part of winning as scoring points. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on The Fins this week. Breaking news, sports fans. And welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into every twist and turn of the football world. Today, we have a bombshell that is shaking the very foundations of the NFL, specifically the Miami Dolphins. Hold on tight. Because what I am about to tell you might just redefine the quarterback landscape for years to come. Reports are surfacing, and it's now official. The Miami Dolphins have handed over the reins of the franchise to Dillon Gabriel. Yes, you heard that correctly. Dillon Gabriel, a name that has been buzzing in collegiate football circles, is now at the center of one of the most dramatic shifts in recent Dolphins history. This is not a subtle change. This is not a quiet handover. This is a seismic, almost cinematic shift that effectively signals the end of the Tua Tagovailoa era in Miami. An era that has been fraught with flashes of brilliance, but equally marked by frustration, injuries, and unmet expectations. The Dolphins front office, known for calculated decisions, appears to have made a bold, almost audacious move, betting on fresh talent, youth, and potential rather than sticking with a familiar face. Who has been the poster boy of the franchise for years? Rumors had been swirling for months. Whispers in the locker room. Subtle hints from insiders and analysts who closely follow every executive decision. But until now, it was impossible to grasp the magnitude of what was happening. And yet here we are, with Dillon Gabriel being officially recognized as the man the Dolphins are entrusting to lead the team forward, to be the quarterback under whose command plays will be executed, victories pursued, and hopes for the franchise resurrected. Let's step back for a moment and really take in what this means. Tua Tagovailoa, a quarterback who has experienced a roller coaster ride of expectations, injuries, and incredible comebacks, suddenly finds himself in a position that no one anticipated just a few seasons ago. There had been discussions, yes, about how the Dolphins might explore new options, about how Dillon Gabriel's rising stock in college football and preseason performances were attracting attention from NFL scouts and executives alike. But the speed and decisiveness with which the Dolphins have acted is what is truly astonishing. This is not a gradual phasing out, a slow transition that gives Tua a chance to cement his legacy or perhaps mentor a successor. This is a straight-up handover, a bold declaration that the future of Miami's quarterback position belongs to someone else. And that someone else is Dillon Gabriel. The whispers from insiders, sources close to the Dolphins organization, suggest that Gabriel impressed the coaching staff not just with his arm, his precision, or his ability to read defenses, but with an intangible quality that is often overlooked in quarterback evaluations: leadership. Apparently, in the brief time he has been around the organization, Gabriel has exuded a maturity, a confidence, and a calm under pressure that convinced the Dolphins' decision-makers that he is the right man to lead this team forward. And when you think about the implications, they are enormous. The Dolphins are effectively saying that the narrative they have been building around Tua, the carefully curated media storylines, the highlight reels, the emotional investments of fans across the nation, are being put on pause. If not completely rewritten, it's a dramatic, almost soap opera level twist that nobody could have predicted with such certainty. And yet here it is, official, undeniable, and irreversible. The chatter online is, of course, absolutely wild. Fans are divided. Analysts are scrambling to provide context. And every social media platform has exploded with hot takes, conspiracy theories, and armchair evaluations of what this means for the Dolphins season. Some are calling it a genius move, arguing that Dillon Gabriel's potential ceiling is higher than anything Tua has demonstrated consistently in the NFL, suggesting that the team's front office is thinking long-term, envisioning a quarterback who could define the franchise for a decade. Others are more skeptical, questioning the wisdom of abandoning a quarterback who has had moments of brilliance, moments where it felt like he could carry the team on his back, moments where the Dolphins' offense finally clicked and hinted at what could be achieved with stability and continuity. The tension between hope and skepticism is palpable, and it's the kind of storyline that fuels fan debates for years. What makes this particular shift even more dramatic is that it's not coming after a long period of struggle. Tua has had his ups and downs, sure, but there were still many who believed in his trajectory, in his ability to grow, adapt, and overcome the injuries and inconsistencies that have plagued him. Yet the Dolphins have chosen to pivot, to redirect the spotlight, to essentially signal that the franchise is ready to turn a page and embark on a new chapter led by a quarterback whose name is just beginning to resonate in professional circles. But who is already being treated with the kind of reverence usually reserved for established stars. Inside the team, sources suggest that morale is a complicated issue. Teammates of both quarterbacks are reportedly adjusting to the news in real time. Navigating a mix of excitement and uncertainty, coaches have had to delicately manage conversations in the locker room, balancing the need to rally around Gabriel as the new face of the franchise, while acknowledging Tua's contributions and the reality that transitions of this magnitude are rarely smooth. The Dolphins organization, for its part, is putting a positive spin on the decision, highlighting Gabriel's work ethic, intelligence, and adaptability. But let's not kid ourselves, there is an undeniable element of controversy here. Fans have invested emotionally in Tua and his journey from college prodigy to NFL starter. In the highs and lows that have defined his tenure in Miami, to see that trajectory abruptly interrupted by an official shift toward Dillon Gabriel is bound to provoke debate, discussion, and yes, heated arguments across sports bars, online forums, and living rooms across the country. It's the kind of narrative that keeps sports media buzzing, that drives ratings, that fuels endless speculation about what could have been versus what might now be possible. And speaking of possibilities, one of the most tantalizing aspects of this transition is imagining what Dillon Gabriel can bring to the Dolphins' offense: his arm strength, his mobility, his decision-making under pressure. All of these qualities are being closely examined by analysts who are already predicting that this could be the start of something revolutionary. Something that could redefine how the Dolphins attack on both short and long yardage plays, how they manage the clock, how they adapt to high-stakes situations late in games. The ripple effect of this move is massive, not just for the players directly involved, but for the entire team strategy, for the play-calling philosophy, for the identity of the Dolphins as a franchise moving forward. Meanwhile, the sports world is rife with speculation. What does this mean for Tua's career? Will he be traded, benched, or will he find a new role within the organization as a mentor, a backup, or even a symbol of resilience for younger players? These are questions that analysts are scrambling to answer, and yet the truth is, nobody knows for certain. What we do know is that the Dolphins have drawn a line in the sand, a clear demarcation between the past and the future, and that line is Dillon Gabriel. Rumors about other teams expressing interest in Tua are starting to circulate, as well as speculation about how Gabriel will handle the immense pressure of leading a team with high expectations, passionate fans, and a history of near misses in recent seasons. The storylines are endless, and the drama is palpable. There's a sense that we are witnessing a pivotal moment in NFL history, not because of a championship or a playoff upset, but because of a franchise-defining decision. One that could alter the careers of multiple athletes, the trajectory of a team, and the narratives that fans hold dear about loyalty, potential, and the gamble inherent in professional sports. So, what should fans expect in the coming months? The Dolphins are clearly embracing change, and that change starts with Dillon Gabriel. The coaching staff will likely tailor offensive schemes to his strengths, gradually integrating him into the starting role and allowing him to develop chemistry with his receivers, running backs, and offensive line. Observers predict that this could lead to innovative play designs, unexpected strategic adjustments, and perhaps a reinvigoration of the team's overall approach to the game. Meanwhile, Tua will undoubtedly face the challenge of redefining his professional identity. Whether within the Dolphins organization or elsewhere, the human drama here is just as compelling as the athletic implications. Loyalty, resilience, adaptation, and ambition all collide in a single official announcement that has sent shockwaves through the NFL community. This is the kind of news that gets dissected endlessly, that inspires think pieces, that fuels debates, and that reminds us why we love sports in the first place, not just for the scores or the stats, but for the stories, the rivalries, the unexpected twists, and the human drama that unfolds with every decision, every pass, every game-changing moment. In conclusion, the Dolphins' bold move to entrust Dillon Gabriel with the team is a story that will echo for seasons to come. It's a narrative filled with suspense, potential, controversy, and opportunity. It's the kind of decision that could either cement the Dolphins' status as visionary risk-takers or become a cautionary tale in the annals of NFL history. For fans, it's a moment of emotional upheaval, a reason to reevaluate loyalties, and an invitation to witness the birth of what could be a defining era under a quarterback whose career is only beginning, but whose impact is already being felt. As the rumors swirl, the analyses deepen, and the story continues to unfold, One thing is certain, Dillon Gabriel is now the man at the helm. And Tua Tagovailoa's chapter in Miami has, at least officially, been rewritten. The Dolphins have spoken, the quarterback landscape has shifted, and the sports world is watching with bated breath to see what happens next. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!